Hey, what's up, everybody? It is another Sunday, which means another mailbag for y'all. You guys came out in waves, a ton of questions. You guys actually overwhelmingly surprised me with how many questions you guys have, and it kind of stinks because I can't get to all of them because there is a lot of really good ones, and I'll do my best to kind of rapid fire through a lot of these. I think we've got like 5 or 6 questions that we're answering today. Some of them are going to be a little bit longer, but before we get into that, as always, I do appreciate the support. I'll be talking about a lot of that in a bit here, but again, thank you for all the questions, all the submissions, and let's get straight into your guys' questions. What's up, everybody? Lawler here, your inside source for all things Rocket League. It is Sunday, which means we've got mailbag, and I need a better name for this. If you guys have one, let me know in the comments down below of a better way to announce that it's like a Sunday video. I tried to put the topics we're talking about as the title, but primarily it's going to be me answering your guys' questions. If you guys would like your questions answered, as always, down below, put them in the comments, and come hang out with us on Twitch. You can find that in the description as well. If you guys do twitch.tv/Lawler, I answer you guys' questions pretty much all day, every day on stream, except for Tuesdays. Tuesdays is my day off where I usually make videos. So with that said, let's get into it. If you guys enjoy the videos, all that kind of stuff, thumbs up, subscribe, you know what to do. But first question is going to come from Alex. It says, I feel like you could be very good at hosting a podcast. Ever thought of starting one? Ironically enough, I have done like 2 or 3 podcasts. The original one was called That's the Thing. If you guys actually want to see these, in my channel, there's a playlist option, and in there you can actually go and watch those old podcasts. And I think the coolest thing about them is you can see how much I've developed and changed as like an on-camera person. The talent and the experience that has come through from doing multiple casts and gigs over the course of the last 5 years. That's the Thing started originally with myself and Johnny Boy, and eventually we brought in Quinn Lobdell at one point, and we discussed a lot of different topics. It went for, I think, like 20 plus episodes. We took a little bit of a hiatus for a really long time, and then I started up what was called Rocket Talk, which was another collaboration thing. It was supposed to be myself, Gibbs, and LeafX, where we all collaborated, and based upon things we felt like we wanted to talk about, or say there was an important topic that like has been really on my mind, we would all put it under the same branding. And Gibbs even put that out on like Spotify and podcast stuff for a little bit with a feed and everything, and you can get some of those episodes. Rocket Talk has now evolved into kind of like a one-on-one thing where every once in a while I do interviews with professional players and content creators. You guys have seen me do one with Musty. You've seen me do one with Sunless Khan and Lethamir and stuff. I do have one with Scrub Killer coming up here shortly, so I do appreciate the compliment. I have done quite a few podcasts. I've also done podcast show for SiriusXM back when, God, who was it? Machinima, before they were owned by Warner Brothers. We used to do one with Axel Toss and Piscator Josh. They had a show on there for Inside Esports, which was really fun too, and that one was on radio. So a lot of really good times. I've been blessed to dabble in a bunch of different projects, but it's crazy what happens when you're busy. There's only so much you can do at one time, and usually the podcasts are the first one to go because they're a big commitment. So nowadays I just stick to like a one-on-one interview, and I was just kind of talking and hanging out for, an hour or whatever it is. But yeah, Scrub Killer one coming up soon. Look out for that one. Next question comes from Josh Duluck that says, would you want to see another event like Mid-Season Madness from Season 3-4 where they all played the extra modes? A couple things about Mid-Season Mayhem. So Mid-Season Mayhem was actually kind of a flop. Even though it was cool as like the viewer experience, a lot of viewers, like, it created a ton of problems for the whole broadcast. My original feeling of what Mid-Season Mayhem should have done is not actually during the mid-season. What they should have done, in my opinion, is done an all-star event. At the beginning of this season, invite all the pros and all the people that are like qualified for the matches a couple weeks before league play starts, and bring them out to the studio and host media days and interviews and do a bunch of like stuff, so we had B-roll and footage that we could play for the rest of the season. Fun interviews, fun interactions, stuff that you're starting to see where like it's Justin versus Scrubkilla at Worlds talking to each other. Content pieces like that we could play throughout the regular RLCS season. That would have been really cool. So instead of doing a tournament in the middle of the season, do it at the very beginning, all-star event, super fun, laid back, bunch of interviews, casual stuff, very similar to like Gold Rush and Beyond the Summit. Those are the kind of vibes that I wanted for the all-star event, and use that to create content that would carry through for the rest of the season until we got to the World Championship. The issue with Mid-Season Mayhem is it happened in the middle of the season. You spend, 4 weeks of playing really grueling ranked competitive style, and then in the middle of it, you've got to with your team play in a $10,000 prize pool, like custom game modes and rumble and stuff that doesn't make any sense. And it really took away from the whole point of what the competition was. Although it's a cool idea and concept, it was a really poorly executed. It actually like made the viewership drop off by like 10-20,000 viewers that they were never able to get back. You had a bunch of viewers that were super confused because it was in the middle of stuff. And I personally don't think you should ever do that, especially when it comes to your premier broadcast. When it's the RLCS, which it is now, obviously you want it to be very serious and straight to the point. You can do show matches in between like they've been doing for like the Lamborghini Bull in the Ring competition, or whatever the heck it was, with the 1v1s. You can do stuff like they did with the freestyle competition for the Ford activation. Stuff like that is okay because it's not the actual competition, but mid-season mayhem actually created a lot of problems and a lot of headaches, since there's a reason they got rid of it. But yeah, an all-star event I think would be awesome. I don't foresee why they shouldn't do that. I think it's a great way to, like I said, if you double down on it and get media content out of it. It's just mid-season mayhem as a whole created a ton of problems, and ultimately we've got like Beyond the Summit and stuff that does those things now, so we still get a little bit of it, just not in the sense of the RLCS. Next up, Alex D asks, what are your thoughts on adding upon the overall playing in a stadium experience, such as billboards with advertisements, jumbotron, audiences chanting the team names, team themed halves, and more optimized lines? So I do think there's a couple things that do need to happen to give us that kind of like sport feel. I do think home fields would be awesome. That is a really cool partnership that they could do where each team gets to design and organize a field. I think Rocket League has gotten better about using those billboards for in-game advertisements, especially on the sidelines. Anytime there's new season stuff or an event coming up, they do actually interchange those. It's been something that's been going on for a long time. They do it with like season 3 and 2 and all the new rocket passes that have been approaching. They have been getting better with it, but I do think home field advantage and like a home field that people play on would be awesome. It'd be super cool to see. It is definitely possible. It's just the problem is it's the same issue with the spectator, which I'll be doing a video on the full spectator issue and how to improve the spectator client in a bit here. The difficulty that it creates is, in order to do that stuff and make it work, you need to use a third-party program, which is Baka's mod. And just like the reason why we can't have in-game overlays that allow you to see the boost for everybody and stuff like that in custom overlays, is because it uses a third-party program, which Psyonix doesn't want to show like, hey, our own game can't do this, but we have this mod that does allow us to do it. So that is why I push the spectator to update so heavily, is because in order to make those things happen, you have to use a mod and a tool, and Psyonix is never going to be for that on their main broadcast. That's why the main broadcast still has the same overlays that it's had for years, which I think is a problem. It definitely needs some updating and some love, but that means updating the physical spectator in-game, which obviously is a much bigger headache. I do agree that they should add ways to do cool voice acting. There's other games like StarCraft that have announcer packs where you can go and they bring in some of their casters. One of my buddies is Nathanius, who has casted StarCraft for a really long time. He has an announcer pack in-game where they brought him into a recording studio, and he recorded voice lines that are unique to him. And you can pay it. He gets a little bit of a kickback for that. It'd be awesome that if I'm playing the game and instead of hearing a random announcer, I would hear Shogun or, you know, whoever I wanted to support casting my games. I think that'd be awesome. I think it's a cool project for the players as well, and just for the like commentators, it's that little bit extra. And for everybody playing, being able to hear their favorite commentators, I think adds a really unique experience. That little things like that, I think that Psyonix, if they started doing, would be just awesome. I think announcer packs would be awesome. I think home field advantage, away and home decals for player decals and esports decals. I don't know why certain teams have a all like black and yellow decal, but then you see them on the blue side and you get super confused. I think things like that are ones that were just kind of not really thought about that definitely should be implemented. So yeah, I agree with you, man. 100%, Alex. More of that, please. Next question comes from Kobe asking, did I ever think I was going to do YouTube stuff? And if I didn't, what would I be doing? Good content, heart. Appreciate it, Kobe. Thanks for the love. Thanks for watching the videos. Did I ever think I was going to do YouTube stuff? No, not at all. Actually, when I was a kid, my mom used to make fun of me all the time because I would mumble. I would talk under my breath. Part of it was like a tactic to get people to listen to me because I was always talked over and I was, you know, kind of the quiet kid. I got along with people when I was a kid, but I was never the one to like lead the conversation or be the main focus of the room. It's also part of the reason why like I don't like birthdays. I hate all that attention on me. It's just not my thing, which is pretty crazy because obviously as a commentator, like you are the face, you are the forefront of the broadcast. So it's a little bit different there, but I never thought I would do content creation. I never thought, it's like when I was growing up watching like esports and stuff on on ESPN as a kid for like MLG and Halo, I always thought like, yo, it'd be so cool to work in esports, but what did that really mean? It was just such an arbitrary concept when I was a kid. And the fact that I do it now is insane. Did I ever think I would do YouTube? Did I ever think I would do like Twitch and stuff? No. Like, I made a Twitch channel because I wanted a place to, when we made like cool plays when we played League of Legends, to have a place where I could go back and look at that before like shadow play and stuff, and saving highlights and montages was a thing. And it was just supposed to be like a fun place for me and my friends to have like a catalog of all of our moments. And now that I do it for a living is really weird. I'm very appreciative the fact that I get to do it for a living. And the only reason I get to is because people are willing to watch the content and the stuff that I provide, which is really, really humbling to be able to, for me, be from a small town in the middle of nowhere in Wisconsin, which, again, small area. Esports and stuff isn't really a thing that thrives here. So the fact that I am able to not work a 9-to-5 job and be my own boss and commentate esports and travel the world and talk about video games and stuff is insane. So I can honestly say before this, I was in a sales job. I did commission-based sales and made pretty good money. And it's what allowed me to actually take some of my free time and go part-time and spend it on casting and developing that hobby, which I'm a huge believer in. If there is something that you want to basically put time and effort into, like a hobby or a passion, something that makes you happy, you should sacrifice everything else. Like, I personally had a job that was comfy and cozy. I was making good money at it, but I purposely made sure to give up like a social life for temporarily and stop doing other things because I was really passionate about casting when I first started, and it was something that I really enjoyed. So I made sure to make sacrifices elsewhere so I could lead to casting. And there's no guarantee that pursuing something that makes you happy is going to, lead into a career and a job, but I am a firm believer of making sacrifices elsewhere so you can do things that make you happy and that you're passionate about. Because we only exist for so long. There's only so much time we have on this world. And why spend, most of it working when you could spend some of that doing stuff you actually enjoy? So I'm a firm believer in that. Honestly, in that sales job, I had no idea what I was going to do. I was kind of stuck. I hated that job so much. I was there for 3 years, 5 years, and like 3 years in, I was like, I hate this place. So quite honestly, man, blessing in disguise. I took a chance, I took a risk, and it ended up paying off, and I'm one of the lucky ones, and I know it. So I do appreciate the fact that you guys watch these videos and comment and support, so I don't have to go back to that. So greatly appreciate it, man. Good question. Next question comes from Joshua Hale. It says, in a situation where you are casting for an org, V1 for example, what are the variables that make you want to stay or leave? I know there are a lot of things to consider, but I'm curious which ones make the biggest difference for you personally. Great work. Really appreciate the quality and consistency of your content creation. Appreciate it, Josh. This question is actually a fun one. There's a lot of things that people don't realize in the commentary field. Originally, when I was a caster, we were hired by Twitch, and Twitch paid us a salary to do our job, and that actually made a lot of pros angry. If you guys don't remember the whole build your brand thing that happened, a lot of pros were mad because the casters were getting paid a salary through Twitch as compared to the pros that were still trying to find teams, because orgs weren't really a thing back then. And you learn very quickly as a caster, there's always somebody gunning for your job. There's no guarantee. And case in point, for myself, like in 2019, the RLCS team and the Psyonix broadcast team for RL Esports didn't want to bring me back. They just said, hey, we're not sending you a contract. And I don't need to get into the reasons or particularly why, but they decided not to bring me back after being here for 5 years. And it's just, you never know when that stuff is going to happen. So I personally, the things that I really appreciate are you kind of learn those interpersonal communication and interpersonal, like the relationships that you build with the higher ups at a certain organization. How willing are they to communicate? How friendly are they? How forward are they with certain things? How loyal are they? And that's kind of the biggest one for me, is like loyalty is, hey, we like what you do. We give you the freedom to do what you do. And that's part of it too. I think one of the big variables, and this is kind of all over the place because it's a pretty heavy topic. Loyalty, I guess, is one. The fact that they're willing to go out of their way and find ways to get you additional work and interact with you and treat you a certain way. I think that's part of it. I think another one that's kind of obvious is pay. Obviously, depending on what you're looking for or who you're struggling for, is it worth your time in the first place? Is it worthwhile to stick around, or are you spending so much time doing this thing that it's taking away from other things? The opportunity cost is part of it. Honestly, I think it's just kind of like a general feeling. There's a level of professionalism. We can use version 1 as an example. They've been nothing but professional. They are super communicative. They treat us well. They, go above and beyond to make sure that we're happy and comfortable with the situation. And Those things aren't always the case. There's a lot of organizations that take you for granted. Talent in general, like broadcast talent, whether it be certain productions or otherwise, tend to treat talent pretty poorly, especially in esports. Even though you can't put on a show without your broadcast talent, for some reason, we're the last ones to get the information. We're the last ones to find out about certain changes. We're the last, like, a lot of productions really take their broadcast talent for granted, and it's really frustrating. So when you find people like version 1 in my particular case that go above and beyond to make sure that we're taken care of, I mean, you look at comparisons to like E-League on TBS. I love that production team because they basically put everything out of sight, out of mind for me. I show up and can put all of my effort into making sure that I'm prepped, ready to go and doing my job. I don't have to worry about, well, when do I have to be here? When do I have to take care of this? When is this thing happening? All that information is always given to you, and it just allows you to do a better job. It allows you to make sure that you as a broadcast talent are putting out the best effort that you can. So there's a lot of little nuances and things like that that you really look for. But ultimately, it's just wanting to be, being respected, being treated well, being heard when I have concerns. That stuff goes a really long way. Last but not least for the question is going to be from Sebastian. Says, hey, Lawler, thanks for the great content as always. You guys are way too nice. My question is about your career in casting. It seems like that seems to be the theme, is about casting and knowing stuff about me. It's kind of weird. This is a Rocket League esports channel and like focusing on like news about Rocket League scene. You guys are like, what about you? And it's kind of weird. I don't know. I kind of like it though. It makes these questions are really easy for me because it's just me talking. I don't have to do any research. It's just my opinion. But career about casting and talking about the game. I'm extremely passionate about it and would love to cast one day, but I'm fairly new to esports. Any advice for people that would like to follow your RL footsteps outside of the pitch? So casting's kind of a fickle one. I will, and I tell this to all the students that I do motivational speaking for, you're not going to make it. I'm very blunt about my topics. That's why I get brought back. The reality of working in esports is very, very minimal. There's no easy, clear path. There's no guarantee. There's no real chance of you making it in. And for a lot of people, if that's enough to turn you off, you were never going to make it in the first place. You have to be ambitious. You have to be hungry. You really have to put yourself out there. I'm a firm believer that if you can't advocate for yourself, why should any of us? Talking about your peers or your people that are hiring you. And that's where it really starts. You have to put yourself out there. You have to reach out to organizations. You have to reach out to community tournaments. You have to reach out to literally anything and everyone and look for opportunities. And even still, if you can't find those, there's nothing stopping you from finding gameplay and talking about yourself. You look at most of the guys that started in the RLCS. Wavepunk literally took replays and recorded himself casting those replays, and that's how he got picked up. Findable Carpet, same thing, created a tournament called PPL, or the Pulsar Premier League. We called it Poo Poo League, just out of fun. He started and ran and admin and casted his own tournaments. He didn't have an option to go and do something, so he made it himself. All of these backgrounds come from people that put themselves out there. I saw a post, I made a demo reel, I sent it, I started casting 3 times a week. I went part-time at work, so I had more time to, it's a grind, man, and it's all volunteer work. There's no guarantee it's going to work out. There's no guarantee that the game itself is going to explode and turn into what Rocket League has. I will say some easy ways to get an advantage. Number 1, brand new games. If you are one of the first casters, a part of a community in a new game, that definitely gives you advantage because you are one of the staples early on. You become one of the iconic members. That is a huge advantage and a really big thing. But the risk side of it is there's no guarantee that new game is going to explode and take, the role of something like Rocket League. You look at a game like Roller Champions, which again, before it even started, already kind of flopped. Like people who want to start commentating that, sick, but there's no guarantee it's going to explode and progress just like Rocket League did or whatever. So understanding there's a high risk, the chances of you actually making it, you may just not be good enough, and that's a harsh reality. But if all those things are going to deter you by me just saying them, I can say right now, you would have never made it in the first place. There's going to be a lot of people that tell you you can't, you won't, you'll never make it, just like I was my entire life. But sorry for lack of better language, but those people. And I'm going to do it and use that as motivation. So again, it's tough reality for a lot of people. A lot of people can't handle that. And you just got to put yourself out there, man. It's an uphill battle, but if you make it, it's honestly, I'm very happy. I love what I do. I'm very lucky to do what I do. And I kind of just chanced my way into it, if I'm being completely honest, man. I hope that answers some of your guys' questions. A lot of really good ones that I did not get to, and I apologize. If I didn't answer any of your questions and I don't get them in a later video, Again, come hang out with us over at Twitch, twitch.tv/Lawler. I stream every day but Tuesday, roughly like 2 Central to like 5, 6 Central, just depending on if I have casting gigs and stuff. I will answer these questions all day if you guys will. I love it. I think it's super fun doing Q&A stuff, and that's pretty much what my stream is anyway. But that is going to wrap it up for this video. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, or you want questions for next week, drop those in the comments down below. While you're down there, give the video a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and check out the social medias in the description, and I will catch you next time.